Welcome to the Ova Vlog. This is part 3 of a 4-part series. I am with a special guest, my mom.
My daughter.
What's your name?
Julie.
My name's Elise. And we've already recorded 2 episodes, so go back and watch those if you haven't already. And this episode's all about the miscarriages my mom has had. So I'm on a trip, I'm visiting her, decided that it was time to talk to her about her pregnancies and learn that I kind of in the back of my head knew that she had miscarriages, but I didn't know she had 2. And so we're going to talk a little bit about those today. Mom, so you had 2 miscarriages.
I did.
Can you talk a little bit about each one and kind of what happened, how far along you were, and like how emotionally that was for you?
The first miscarriage that I had was my first child was 5 years old, I believe, and I had found out that I was pregnant. And
that one, was it planned?
It was sorta.
Okay.
I was just, I mean, she was 5 and we were ready for another baby, but we weren't actually talking about it or anything. But it was, so I found out that I was pregnant and taken the test, and it was positive, and I was excited that we were, ready to continue our family. And I was about 7 to 8 weeks along, and I started spotting, and I knew something wasn't quite right. And this wasn't the first time I'd ever been aware of miscarriages. My mother had 1 miscarriage, and she had a stillbirth. My sisters, as I mentioned before, some of them have had miscarriages. So I was aware of, what was going on when I was spotting. I knew that something wasn't right. And so it took about a week before I actually lost the baby. I actually,
It came out.
And so,
do you know what caused that one, or?
I don't.
Okay.
There are so many possibilities. I was reading not too long ago about some of the circumstances that create miscarriage, and it's really, for me, it was all over the map. It could have been anything. And it was emotionally painful at the time, but I didn't feel a great sense of loss, and that might sound cold, but I'm thinking back on it, and yeah, I was sad about it, but I didn't think it was
really
the end of
early.
I didn't think it was the end of my ability to have another baby. As much as I wanted this pregnancy, I wasn't put off. And then I got pregnant again with Elise and had this amazing birth, and everything went like super well.
That was really easy.
She
was. I was long and skinny.
She was. She was 5.5, 5.8, I guess, 5 pounds 8 ounces, and 19.5 inches long. And so
later right out.
But it was a great pregnancy, and she was 2 years old when I found out that I was pregnant again. And I really had this plan that I wanted to have 3 children. We at that point would have liked to have a boy, and
not that you have any choice.
No, and wouldn't have been disappointed anyway. But I was about 14 weeks pregnant, and I started spotting and having cramping, and I went to the emergency room because I was in a situation where that seemed like the right thing to do at the time. I was far enough along that I was concerned and that we might be able to save this pregnancy, and no, I didn't. And we found out that it was a little boy, and that was probably one of the most traumatic moments for me. I remember just crying and crying for days, and it was hard. I was fortunate again that one of my sisters, my sister Emily, was down with me in Great Falls, Montana, and I felt like I had to suck it up and just be strong because I had somebody there, even though I knew she was supportive. But I had these other two babies in my house, and I didn't think that I could dwell on it. But it was tough, and I felt like I had to name the baby, and it was an experience I will never forget that one. So
Thank you for sharing that, Mom.
you're welcome.
So we will continue this series.
I was fortunate enough to have another baby afterwards.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So it didn't end with that miscarriage. My mom did go on to have my little brother, who's now not so little, and he's actually very tall. And we the next episode will be about his birth, which was a cesarean. So stay tuned, and once again, if you didn't watch the previous ones, go back. And thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.